I got a lot of work up on my plate, and I'ma get it all till the clock stops ticking. Forget the pain of yesterday, and show a star in the how you are. Wake up and go get it, live life with no limits. Every time they put me in a box, I bust it down. Too much time up on the clock, so I'ma bust it down. Ain't no waiting for the moment, cause the time is down. I want my brothers like Malcolm and Newton, and we split the racks in the middle. Big bro, you been ballin', so we was just tellers, you know it ain't no ceilings. These girls in the library, they looking for love, you know it ain't no feelings. Searching for warmth in my heart, but lately it feel like the middle of winter. Every time I get back up, they wanna let me down. My granny asked me why I put that smoke up in the clouds. They always ran woke, but they be sleeping, no one's round. Just maintain focus, keep my knees up on the ground. I put my soul and my heart in this. The clouds that left us in darkness, yeah. But I knew what it was when I started it, yeah. So now there ain't no turning back. You know I ain't got time to lack. I gotta get to the racks. And I cannot deny. I gotta keep it a G. I want the racks from the
All right, we back. Second episode of the Wolf of Ball Street podcast. Uh, we have gotten some great uh, love off episode one.
Yeah, we
So
did.
we're gonna keep this thing pushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today I like to let our guests introduce themselves and give some backdrop on who they are, because I can't do it justice that it needs. So tell us who you are, brother Bob.
I'm Bobby Connor. I work out in the community. I work with the Urban League. We do a lot of things out in the community to make sure that people that need a leg up or assistance get just that what they need, and also try to allow them to even move up and reach any of their goals they're trying to reach. Just sustain themselves. Also, we assist the youth in obtaining, their goals. Just take care of the whole community. I grew up in North County, St. Louis. Um, been there ever since I was 10. Very familiar with the area. Also, want to say that it is a thriving market, but it is a market that actually needs some corrective measures. Um, People of some rapport that have been there for quite some time that really want to just roll their sleeves up and make the community a better and thriving market. So I've got 4 kids, beautiful kids that I was able to continue to raise. I've got 2 grandkids, and actually, I take that back. I've got 7 grandkids. So, long story short, I'm just one of these people that I really want to see things change for the better for our people. And I understand that opportunity is one of the major catalytic moves that will change that. So I'm here today to speak upon that, and why this good brother is a very strong component of that change.
Talk to me about how you see Wolf being a component for change.
Well, Wolf, as we know him, also as Curtis, has been one of those anomalies, a person with special skills to be able to cross over into all types of genres and reach people that sometimes are not reachable, and to help coach them and turn their lives around into a positive manner. Being able to speak their language, being able to digress into their struggle in order to help navigate them out of their struggles. We've worked on some clients together, and I was amazed. Instantly, I could see the change in these people. So, my background, I've been in it for quite some time, and I'm very successful at it. But you can also identify others that are actually rolling their sleeves up and are very successful as well at getting people down the right road, the right path, making the right choices.
Yeah, yeah. Wolf, you do have a special skill set. It comes from life experience.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on that, right?
Yes, sir.
But talk to me about the street component of your life, like um, the things that you've been through that have given you that skill set to be able to identify somebody struggling that may need a big brother or uncle or course correction, or
Right.
you can see it in their eyes that they about to go do something, that maybe they don't need to do.
Right.
Right? Talk,
Right.
talk to me about that.
A few things that since I'm living a different side of life now, um, I'm more hands on. So since I'm in a different component, as my cousin would tell everybody, that I'm challenging my mental aspect about who I am as a person towards what I used to be, physicality. What happened was my cousin, he's very very unique and very he's an energized bunny. And the way we met each other, it spoke volumes. Uh, I don't ever forget anything first time, because you can't ever get that back. First impression is always lasting impression. And when I met Bobby and finding out that we were cousins, and I'll get that to you in a second about how I found that out. He was opening doors that I couldn't really get in. I kept going through the back doors, but he got me through the side door because the front door kept staying locked. So he asked me to come to one of his groups that he has for the sisters and sons of what's it called?
Save our sons and
Sa-
save our sisters.
Yeah, Save Our Sons, Save Our Sisters program at a church. And there was an individual there. He was a blood. His name's Eric, and he was like one of the leaders of the Bloods. So Bobby wanted me to speak to him. Never met this guy in my life, but Bobby knew that where I came from, I can attach myself with him, not knowing who he was as a person. So first thing I noticed about this young man, he was walking with a limp. He was shot up,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still see the pain as he walks.
Yes.
So what they did, they put me in a room with him by ourselves, just me and him one on one. And there was like about maybe 30, 40 people there. So first thing I looked at Eric, I said, "Man, talk to me." So of course he got that stereo macho pride because we're both gangsters of that life. But I'm talking to this young man because I saw everything in me and him, and our attachments and the conversation was so powerful that I think we talked maybe 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got done talking, the brother was in tears, but I took every tear and made it more energy for me to speak to him even more aggressive, being powerful, more truth, more honesty, because I can relate everything he's doing and everything he's saying. And he knew who I was after we talked. To make a long story short, that was he got out the gangs. It was hard, of course, but my conversation with him stayed in contact with him, weekly, just see how he's doing. If you even need anything, hey man, just call me. I'm not one of those brothers that's gonna sell you a dream just because I've been somewhere that other person hasn't. I noticed one thing: when people wear suits, they become the suit. They don't become the man.
Mm.
And they selling these brothers these illusions. And I'm not gonna say no names, but they know who they are. And I didn't like that when I saw at one of the classes. So I said what I had to say. And I thought Bobby probably would have been upset with me, but no, Bobby was like, that need to be said. And that's what made us get this program even stronger now. So yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely tap into what you're saying because you know these kids, they don't need fancy words, they don't need fancy suits,
Right.
right? They don't need action plans, right, with no substance, right? They need somebody to look them in their eyes that they can say, that person real, that person know what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
He already been through it. He got the battle wounds. He got the reputation. He got the pedigree. That's who they listening to,
Right.
right? And I think that God give us life experiences, right? So that when we talk to people, it's coming from a real place that they can connect to, right? So, Bobby, what was your thought when you said, let me grab Wolf and introduce him to this young brother who needed something, like what did you see that made you say this is the move? Because it worked. So what did you see?
Well, quite frankly, just like Wolf said, sometimes your appearance can shut down communication, and your method of communication can also shut down communication. Being able to speak the language of someone at least opens the channels of communication, and then being able to share life experiences as to going down this road, but I should have went down that road, and coming from more seasoned brother, uh, that speaks volume. The gentleman was able to understand what the goal was, the mission was, which was to change his ways, go down better paths, make better choices. You're a leader in the community. People are following you. It's just not you. We took the selfishness out, which he was able to then articulate that to his own family. We also had more members come in and join because of that. And that's because they felt that the program really could suit them and they could get benefit out of it, which is the main goal, is to show our young, better paths, better choices. And if you can't reach them, then you can't get your message across. So, and that's why I say that, that Wolf is a very just a special person, because he's able to cross over those lanes and to and save people. So that speaks a lot of volume. You don't know the ripple effects behind that. Just because you're speaking to one person, that one person may represent 30, 40, 50 other guys that are out there making bad choices as well. So now that extrapolates into more and more and more issues and problems. Whereas if you can change that person way of thinking into a more positive direction, now that person's a leader that's taking people in a positive direction.
It's more like, not to cut you off, Bobby, more of like a domino effect. Because if it's like you want to fight the bully, once you control and take care of the bully, things will follow itself, because everybody looked up to the bully. So in the mental aspect of it, not just the physicality. And that's how my approach was when it comes to these young brothers.
It's it's interesting because a lot of years ago, the government decided to cut the heads off of all of these organizations. So let me say law enforcement. And I don't think they really understood the cost of what that meant. Like, there's structure in any organization that's successful. There's a level of structure, right? Whether it's a organization for good or it's an organization for bad, there's always structure, right? And you know, educators will tell you that when kids come into the classroom, they want structure, right? And so if the teacher is not bringing structure, then the classroom is chaos, right? So when they cut the heads off of, I'll just say it, the street gangs, right? What happened? What was the byproduct of that?
Or when they cut the heads off the street gangs, if they cut the heads off to all these leaders, you got the wild, wild west. Everybody wants to be the leader. Everybody wants to start fighting for that battle to be the leader. I'm gonna tell you this, man. If I could change everything back in the day, I wouldn't want to be no leader, because there comes with responsibilities of the thing called the RICO law. Your public enemy number one. Just the whole fashion of, like I said in the last podcast, all the great leaders, they passed away or gone to prison because inside situations, because of jealousy and envy. And when both those come together, it's your number one enemy. It's your own kind. So like Huey Newton, his own kind killed him. Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying? And other, Shaka Zulu, all these great leaders, man. It just, you got to take a step back and just say, you know what? I don't want that role, but give me a different role so I can still help the ones that need that help. You can, like I told you before, you can give me 20 people, 20 of the worst gang members, youngsters out there, and I will take on that challenge, because as a ball player, I love competition. I love competition. And that's how I'm gonna look at it. We cut all, just rebuild the person, take away all the reputation, take away their tattoos, take away their name, and start all over, reprogram, rebuild them, but in a different way. Because a lot of these youngsters, they're mental lapsed. They have relapse of what they think mentally. That's why I live by the law called the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I live by that to this day. And I just want people to understand, this is going, even when I'm dead and gone, when all of us are dead and gone, it's still going to be going on the same thing. Because somebody asked me, how do you stop black on black crime? You can't, because it's just in us to be stupid. And I'm just being honest with you.
That's true.
It's just in us. And if I had that magical word to say, this is the formula to stop it, I'll say it. But I'm not going to be like everybody else trying to sell you an illusion, sell you a dream just to get money or to get an illusion of who I am as a person. That's not me. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna go find it for you.
Indeed.
And I'm gonna make sure I give you the right answer, because I don't have an answer for you. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't have an answer for you, son. I don't. And I think they respect me more for being truthful and honest with them.
When we decided to do this podcast, the thing that you stressed was that it's got to be informative. Like,
Mhm.
It's got to be given information.
Mhm.
It's got to serve a purpose, right? And I agree with you, because there are a lot of podcasts out there, they're very successful,
Mhm.
and you having fun, and you're laughing and telling stories, but there's a space for this type of information, right? And so, in that vein, Bobby, would you talk to me about the organization you just talked about? Like, what do you guys do? Like, with the young man that you met,
Well,
what do you guys do?
What we do is we provide opportunity. I mean, I want to speak to what my cousin just said. It is a bleak situation, okay? And in the middle of being in a bleak situation, uh, a lot of times when you are such a performer, as Curtis is, Wolf as we know him, you become more of a realist, and you think that I can make it, I can put a dent in this thing, but it's going to take longer than I've got to give humanly possible. However, I want to say this: it has to start somewhere, and with that being the case, right? Um, Black Wall Street was not built just overnight. It took time for those good Black people before us to come together in harmony and build and support each other. If give you an example, if let's say the most rich and affluent people were on a ocean liner and it got shipwrecked on a deserted island, then there was limited resources. Those same people the high pedigree folks, would turn into savages over the food because there's limited resources. What we have to provide now are opportunities and resources to change the culture. What people fight over is the same dollar bill instead of figuring out a way how to create another activity to make another dollar bill. And that's what we do in my organization. We provide opportunity. Now, do some people fall through the cracks? Yes, they do. No matter what side of the fence you're on, everybody's human. People bring their own ideologies, they bring their own stress, they bring their own problems and issues and stuff like that with them. And some people are great at leaving it at the door, and some others are not as so great at leaving it at the door. Same way with the client that's coming through the door. Sometimes they can leave their issues at the door and try to focus on their correction, but sometimes they cannot. So we have to all dig in on both sides to make this change. The reason why I'm so intrigued with Curtis, also known as Wolf, is because Curtis can see opportunity, and he can see the good in everyone. Okay, and most people, let me say that some people are just too far gone that there's nothing you can do for them, but the ones that are salvageable, they touch him, and he goes and digs deep with them. For me, I've got the benefit of seeing major changes on a bigger scale. However, those individuals that have power, that have voice, that are using it in the wrong way, the wrong manner, not because they're just bad people, but because of the environment that they're in, They feel as though these are the choices I have to make, not knowing that there's other choices and there's another world out there that you can make better choices and live a better life. And that is what I see Curtis doing in introducing. You know, when you go from being in a neighborhood that was heavily volatile and be able to persevere and make it all the way to being a professional athlete, that speaks volume. His P's that he talked about that he lives by is proof. And he's consistently doing that on a day-to-day basis. So he's making ripple effects far reaching than he can see himself, you know, because sometimes it's just like that drop in the water. You one drop in the pond, the waves go out. You don't know how far out those waves can travel. So I'm here to support my cousin because I see that from my lens. I see the difference he's making, and it may seem frustrating when you're sitting in your own chair and you're not able to see all of the results. But when someone is sitting from a bird's eye view that can see you from a distance and see the ripple effects that you're having, that's what speaks volume. Because at that point, that's when we have to rally around a person like Wolf and help him on his journey. And that's why I'm here on this podcast today. I believe in him, number one, as a person. I got a chance to meet him briefly at one, like you said, you know, I met him 5 minutes. We had a 5-minute conversation, and he touched me to the point where I said, I need him to help assist me in my quest. Introduced him to some people at my organization, and they were like, "Yeah, we're all in. We're gonna help get you moving." However, they're over all kinds of different other programs. People get busy, and things and good ideas get lost in the shuffle. However, God made it to the point where me and this gentleman find out that we are not only like-minded individuals, we're also relatives. When I feel someone is part of my family, I even dig in deeper. Not to say that I don't care about other families and whatnot, but it makes me be more intrigued as far as, number one, our Black culture. How did we not know we were cousins all this time? So it's all in communication. You know, you have to realize when we came over here as slaves, we came from all different tribes in all different languages. And one thing that Africa is known for is the drums. Once you took the drums away from us, there was no form of communication. It was chaos. That perpetuated all the way to now, to this day. And now we are still often in our different sectors. And then once there's an altercation or whatever the case may be, now we don't have the structure to resolve the issue, so we turn to violence. And that's what we're trying to stop at this particular time. You asked a question earlier about when they cut the heads off. It was the communication system that they had in place, to whereas they had certain rules, certain regulations. And then when you take all those rules and regulations out the way, now it's chaos. It'd be the same thing if the government got overturned. It would be complete chaos. So the point I'm trying to make is, it is boots on the ground. This is a gentleman here that does not mind putting his boots on the ground. And could he move on? Yes, he could. He's a hard worker, doing well, but yet he still can't turn his back on his people. So just that quality alone says to me that, you know, how can I help? So when we speak about change, this gentleman definitely has a lot he can offer in that change.
Before we go to ask you a question about that change, talk to me about how y'all met, how y'all found out that relatives, because that is unique in our culture, right? That we don't know that the person next door is our brother, cousin, uncle, nephew, niece, whatever, because like you said, somewhere in the family tree, there's breakdown.
Indeed.
So talk to me about how y'all found out.
Well, like I said, when I first met Bobby, of course, we know we connected because I've seen him, his movements is just, he's like the glue that kept everything together in his organization. And there's people that's over him that wasn't really giving that same energy that he was doing. So that's the connection that I got from him. So maybe he told me his last name was Coleman, and He said, man, you look familiar. I said, well, I ain't never been in none of our family reunions that much because I'm always out doing my thing. But when he said something about, who's all in your family? Because I said, well, we got the Trask in our family, the Wilsons and the Binions, and so I'm putting both sides from my father's side and my mother's side. So we connected more when it came to my father's side because he knew something about the Jones, and that's one of the original families that that really started everything because our heritage of our black people, our enslavement came to in Memphis. They stayed in Tennessee area, so that kind of connected all the other dots. Him mentioning his father, and I mentioned my father, and then found out we was cousins. So that's how I ran out like that.
Yeah.
And his face was like a face I had seen before. So I told him, I said, you look exactly like my Uncle Floyd. Exactly like my Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
And that's when I asked him, I said, who is in your family? And we started searching last names, and lo and behold, here we are, cousins.
The world is small, man.
Yes, sir.
The world is small. So going forward, Wolf, what is your hope, man, in trying to reach these kids? Like, what's your hope? What's your goal?
My goal, I got 2 sets of goals. Of course, you want to talk and try to save the future of the kids, of our kids anyway. But I like to be hands-on with the now, because the now has to be controlled so the future can be better. And it's all I ask is just put me in front of some people. That's all I ask. All you gatekeepers out there, I'm talking to all y'all. Just give me an opportunity. I know what I bring to the table. I'm not big head about what I've done, what I accomplished. I'm very humble. James 4:10, when you humble yourself, God will let you in. I'm very humble. And I just want the opportunity, because what I see, they lost, man. And it's scary. It's scary. So I don't know if I ever told you this one story. So I'm working at the Urban League as security, and I'm looking through the video cameras, and my job is to protect the people that's in the building. So FEMA was in the building at the time, as well as the Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
So they're from all over the country. So I'm watching all their cars in the video. So I see these 3 or 4 kids walking through the parking lot with ski mask on. All of a sudden they stop by one of the cars. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. So I got out, run out to the parking lot. I'm saying, man, y'all can't be out here, man. Y'all got to go to this private property. Of course, they're small-minded and they start, jaw jacking. And I say, I'm gonna ask y'all one more time, y'all got to leave. So as I'm talking to these kids, they all got banana clips in their pocket. You can see it. You can see, I mean, they ready to go. So what saved my life on this one, the main dude that was talking, he looked at me. He said, man, I know you. This kid like about 17, 18. I'm 56. Like, you don't know me, He said, man, don't they call you Wolf? And I kind of stuck like, I said, yeah, why? He said, man, you play ball with my father. He said, man, Wolf cool, man. Y'all quit tripping. So just that little instant right there, if I save my own life and I save the opportunity that them not getting in trouble, I must be doing something right in my past. I must be. So I took that and put that in my pocket, because I could have been a victim. But what I've done in my past as a productive, pretty good ball player, as well as a pretty good person, it paid off just for that little quick second, not even knowing who these kids were, but they knew who I was.
Indeed. See, I'm somewhat religious. Not somewhat. I'm very religious. Let me just get that out the way. It reminds me of the Paul and Saul story. Saul at the time was persecuting Christians and would hunt them down, kill them, whatnot. God spoke to him, changed his whole trajectory to the point where now he was bringing people to Christ, and it was able to change the mindset of many people. And we see those kind of examples, all throughout time. But I say this to say, when a person actually has their own experience of change, and it's so genuine, so unique, to where it becomes a message, it becomes a beacon of hope and a beacon of light, that you don't know how far that light can travel unless you actually try to illuminate it even more. So these are the things, we can write all kinds of programs, we can write all kinds of curriculum, but if you're not on the ground and meeting with the people and talking to the people and educating in the moment, then giving somebody a pamphlet is not going to do anything for them. It'd be great to say, hey, listen, come on down, we get you a job, you can get a job. But how do you know if the person has the means to even do a resume? Unless you have a conversation. So what is so unique about Wolf is Wolf will take the time to speak with you, talk to you, get to understand you as a person, and then give advice. As you can tell, he's very, very calm. You see, he just sits back and he absorbs. He just absorbs. He takes it all in. And then after he takes it all in, that's when he speaks. You'll never catch him saying anything frivolous, just something off the top of his head. It's always going to be a calculated statement that he's going to think through. And with that power, if you will, having a good heart behind it, now will perpetuate good things to come for more than just him. And so he's not selfish. In a lot of ways, he's selfless. He takes himself out. He doesn't lead with, I was a professional ball player. I've been inducted in the Hall of Fame for softball. I've used to hit the cover off the ball. That never comes out of his mouth. When you sit there and you talk to him, you spend a little time with him, you find out all the accolades that he has been able to accomplish. You're floored, because he doesn't lead with that. He leads with compassion. Who are you as a person? Let me share something with you, and I hope I've helped put you down the right path. And he's consistent. So if he talks to you today, more than likely he's going to talk to you tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's what it takes, that consistency. And just one last point I'll make. You don't make it to being a professional athlete by working out once or twice. There's a regimen that there has to be, that he's going to consistently work out. He's going to eat properly. He's going to hit his weights the way he's supposed to. He's going to condition his mind properly. He's not going to fill it with a bunch of junk. He's going to stay focused on his mission. That's the type of focus I see in this quest, that he sees there's an issue with Black America and we need to fix it. And it's not the ones that have been able to go to college, been able to have a great career. We're talking about those babies that haven't had that opportunity, haven't had that chance. And we speak about this cousin thing. The reason why I bring that up is, we also have to get into the family structure. How did it break down? Why is it that we don't know each other? Why is it, it would be terrible if I would have met Wolf and we'd have been at odds and we'd have been fighting and banging, even though I know I would have brutally lost, right? Look at his size. Look at his size. I still would have gave it my all, though, you understand? I ain't no chump. But long story short, to find out that we was cousins afterwards, that's a tragedy. So that shows us also, when it comes to other families, how could other families work together? Because when I was a child, everybody knew each other on that block. If you got in trouble at school, you got a whooping from the principal. The teacher probably already bust you upside your head. Then you went to the principal, you got paddled. Then on your way home, whoever was the mom that was supposed to come walk y'all home, she paddled you. Then by the time you got home, you already got 3 or 4 whoopings, and then you really was gonna get the whooping. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say, the connectivity that we used to have was invaluable. And we're talking about most of our people was high school graduates at best, but they still were able to find a way, because the culture of being connected was what we had, and it served us well. That disconnect that has happened has spoke volume as far as me as a person, my own personal opinion, to helping our demise, that separatism. And so to me, he brings that glue that we need. We need that glue, you know. So that's why I'm also here to support his quest. Yes, this is my cousin. I love him to death, but the mission is bigger than me and him. It's not even gonna get solved with just me and him. It's gonna take everyone who's listening to this podcast at this particular time, to roll your sleeves up, help. Even if you don't help what we're trying to do, help in some form or fashion somewhere.
Yeah, to speak to your point, put a bow on it. There's a story that's real, happened in Chicago, where kid had a favorite uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The uncle had kids with women all around the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nephew kid had an issue with a rival block,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they wind up getting into it,
Right.
right? Gunplay happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? Young man on the other side dies, right? 2 weeks later, he's at the funeral to support the uncle because he lost his only child, his only son, right? And when he got a hold of the obituary and looked at it, he realized the kid he killed was his cousin, his favorite uncle's son.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Other people in the funeral found out what happened, and as you can guess, it turned into an issue.
Big mess.
Big mess. Didn't even know who he had killed until we showed up at the funeral.
Wow.
Families broken even more than our families already shattered.
Indeed.
And it'll never be the same, right?
Indeed.
So the goal with this in closing, and I appreciate you coming to sit down and talk with us, Bobby. It was excellent. Is that one brick at a time?
Yes, sir.
We got to put our families back together, and that's going to put our communities back together, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's going to give these young dudes some purpose.
Indeed.
Right? But it can't be the guys in suits running corporate America to fix the problem. The problem's got to be fixed by people on the ground, like all of us, who these kids can look at and respect, because they need something that they can touch, right? And it's a long reach from here to the boardroom, right?
Indeed.
But the person who walk in the room with his hand out, they can touch.
It's got to be fixed from within.
Exactly.
But we will reach those people in the boardroom as well. We got to realize we all have to come on this journey.
Yeah.
And it's true what you say, because we can't have that disconnect. And that's what we've had. We've had that disconnect from that boardroom. Boots on the ground is definitely going to be the changing catalyst. And once you start seeing that movement, then those people in the boardroom are going to take notice, and then now they're going to be reaching and say, hey, how can I help? So there is a plan here in place, but the boots on the ground, Wolf is like the mortar. The brick you spoke about, without the mortar, the bricks won't stand. It will fall over. I don't care how well you stack the bricks, whatever the case may be. But it's this mortar, it's this glue in between that's going to hold those bricks together. And then as that wall is being built, you need to take this mortar all the way to the top. That mortar still needs to go to that boardroom to speak to the boardroom and say, this is how we built this wall.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a little bit more seasoned than you brothers, so been around the block a little bit longer and whatnot. And I would be less than a man not to speak my own opinion or my own mind. And I feel like we all have to come together because we can all benefit from each other's knowledge.
For sure.
So I would like to say we have to come with an inclusive answer to this issue. But the most important thing is that foot soldier. You can't win a war without that foot soldier.
Great leaders know how to be followers.
Indeed.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And great kings know how to serve.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what a lot of these kids don't know is that we are the boardroom.
Indeed.
Because we all have organizations that we own.
Indeed.
That we run and that we do things with, right? But we don't tell them that until they know that they can trust us.
Indeed.
Right? And then we tell them, oh, I made the same walk you made.
Indeed.
right?
Yes, sir.
But we got to connect where we can connect with them, right?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your time today, Bobby. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yo, anytime, cuz you know
I
that.
appreciate
You
you.
know that. Oh, def. Oh, def.
Okay, we have another special guest in the building, and I'm gonna ask you, Ms. Keeley, to introduce yourself and tell us about you.
Well, I am Sandra Kay Keely, and I'd like to share this incredible journey that I'm on as executive director of three daughters and 1,000 sons. Our tagline is Blood Ties Bind and Community Ties Too, because we're all family. I actually have three daughters, but in my journey in criminal justice reform, I have come across the path of so many young men that I just have embraced them as my sons. And the number 1,000 is a powerful number in our Holy Bible that shows up 61 times, and it means spiritual completeness and divine guidance. So, like his cousin, I'm totally immersed in the whole spiritual tradition that has kept us as people in this country, our foreign land, all this time. So, I originally applied for a grant through Ford through Ferguson. They had a racial healing and justice fund grant as a response to the assassination of Michael Brown in 2014. And they were reaching out to grassroots organizations because, again, boots on the ground,
Mm.
they know the pain and the cry of the people. So my journey began 37 years ago when my only brother, Calvin Keeley, was given a 50-year sentence in the state of Michigan. So what should have only been 7 years, they consecutively did it 8 times as
Mm.
that. And so he's done 37 years already. And with him being in Michigan and I'm here in Missouri, and you know how maddening that whole thing is talking to family members, lawyers, legislators for the help that you think your brother should have access to. I just ended up turning my attention to what was going on in Missouri.
Okay, that's very powerful. Um, a lot of people don't understand the power of expungement, right? And what it can do uh, to help you hop the hurdle, of having a prior conviction. Uh, Talk to me about the expungement process and why it's important.
Well, when I applied for the grant through Ford through Ferguson, I promised to create a blueprint that would make that process more seamless. In Missouri, we have more than 500,000 people that are eligible to have their nonviolent, non sexual charges expunged. In 2018, the governor, Jay Nixon, signed into law that instead of just 13 charges that are eligible for expungement, we now have 1,922 charges. So one of my major sheroes is a former Senator Jamila Nasheed, because she really spearheaded attempting to make it make sense in Missouri. Because she had said in our town hall that's on YouTube that she saw how Illinois was on steroids trying to correct the wrongs for people that have served their time, and to come out and still have to drag that criminal record ad nauseum when you're applying for a job. You got to repeatedly tell what that mark on your record was for. So with expungement, they actually seal the record, they do not destroy it. So there are three instances after expungement where law enforcement officials, financial institutions, and those agencies that deal with health and human services, they can actually look to see if you have had a crime in the past that was expunged. But most importantly, it is an opportunity for people to be free of guilt and shame, most importantly. Now, right now, everyone's not eligible for expungement, But in our clinics, we provide the services if you are, in terms of educating yourself, maybe getting engaged in the politics, because it's a very fluid, dynamic organism. In the beginning, you had to be 7 years out from your felony conviction and 3 years out from your misdemeanor in order to actually file for expungement. But the legislator was like, we got to do better. So now it's 3 years for a felony and 1 year for a misdemeanor. So that again was a result of a very engaged community with the legislature, and they keep working with it. So when they passed the Amendment 3 to legalize recreational cannabis, that created an atmosphere where there's more of a softening toward this idea of having a criminal record, because in our capitalistic society, that whole cannabis thing has moved the chairs on the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we have this person in the White House who the community, half the country, has completely forgiven him for his criminal history, which again, it makes sense that there should be a dialing back. And actually, there is a two-tier justice system. And what Three Daughters and 1,000 Sons is intentionally purposing to do is to make those who typically don't get justice in the court to receive their justice by receiving their expungements.
Yeah, that's that's a lot of powerful information. Good information.
Mhm.
Wolf, tell me, how did you meet Miss Keeley?
Well, Miss Keeley is has always, she's been an inspiration to me. Definitely a godmother slash mother. Um, wow. Well, my job, I work as a security, and my boss was telling me about somebody that can help me with my situation. And, I'm like, yeah, whatever, because I'm always hearing one thing and nothing always goes through. But he gave me the number to Miss Sandra Keely. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. I mean, I've been trying to do this thing for years. So when I finally got in contact with her, the first thing I noticed on the phone, she had this give me a hug voice, and it just went from there. And she's been very upfront about everything, very honest with me. I lost my mother, so she's definitely been a person I look to as a mother.
Which I know I could never replace.
Just she's I really don't be that much speechless about somebody, but she's been very she gave me like a steroid of heart to keep pushing more and keep staying stronger. And she's been in the courts with me and everything, and this is my lady. This is my lady.
Miss Keeley, talk to me. Wolf mentioned the court. Talk to me in a little bit of detail, if you can, about what you guys are doing in the courts right
Well, I didn't mention that uh, one of the other helmets I wear is I call myself the Justice Reform Supermom, because I got 1,000 sons, right?
And I'm one of them.
So yeah, and I got to show up strong. And I, in my journey as a real estate professional, if there's anything jacked up about real estate, I can tell you about it.
Mhm.
So I was sued for $5 million. I had a property in a very lucrative community condemned. I was my own expert witness. I chose my attorneys and my helped pick the jury. So I'm very comfortable. I've been seasoned for it
Mhm.
in the courtroom. I move around very freely in the courtroom because of my real estate background. But in getting the connection from the person that he knew, I was just telling him about what I was doing with the expungement piece. And I had known the gentleman from the early 2000s. So I had been the commercial real estate consultant for one of the neighborhoods in North St. Louis. So he kind of knew I was sort of really single minded and would sink my teeth in until the thing was done. So when Wolf was telling me about his situation, and based on the person that was in the White House, I thought this two-tier justice thing, it can't be. So when I started looking into a situation where he had filed a petition to have his name removed from the registry, in my understanding of filing petitions and getting on a docket, he was in the wrong jurisdiction. So I was recommending that he drop that and then file in the jurisdiction where he was actually convicted. And so, because we as people of color, where would we be without a personal understanding of spiritual power and being able to pull it down,
Mm-hmm.
like what his cousin was saying about him? There's an intensity, a still water that runs deep, that draws you in. And I don't know if that's something you develop as being a powerful team member, but Wolf is putting together a team. So, but at any rate, he's good in trying to follow direction. He gives feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Some thoughts that I had, he, ran it by some people. They gave him some information. So we're operating as a team
Yeah.
in terms of making his dream come true. It's like in 40 years,
Yeah.
he's had this label as a sex offender. And I was doing some research and found out that there's what they call a Jack and Romeo and Juliet defense, that when it's consensual, there's been some a precedent where cases have been set aside. Doing a deep dive, found out in 2017, whereas he should have been off the registry 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
they just changed the law and did an administrative review, did not bring him back into court to testify and to see how he was doing, and just kicked him up to a tier 3, which is a lifetime reporting on the registry.
Yeah.
Well, just to make a long story short, the beauty of the power that is, sometimes you think you know, but you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we were trying to get off, we were trying to get his petition removed by getting a court date. So it looked like we could just do it virtually. So we were filing for this hearing, and the state was involved. And the state was saying, I have never in 18 years had to come to court for somebody to withdraw their petition. You have every right to do that. I say, well, the judge, he's insisting. So we're trying to get on the docket, We're calling the clerk. She's not calling us back. So one time we sat there, and this Caucasian attorney came in hyperventilating, huffing and puffing, and said, I drove 5 hours to get here. Am I on the docket? I've called and called. And so then the bailiff said, you're on the docket. So to the other guy. So I said, well, I guess it's not just us not getting return phone calls. So anyway, called the docket supervisor's office and explained the situation. Because in my mind, every week we were going to be on the docket, right?
Yeah.
And so she says, well, look, if you have a problem, let me know and I'll tell the supervisor about the clerk. I said, oh, no, I know she had a family loss and yada, yada, yada. I'll call you tomorrow if we're not on the docket. Well, the next day we were on the docket. And so Thursday, 9/11, we were in court. And the lawyer from the state, I had to call him. I said, oh, sorry, your track record of 18 years has just been broken. You got to come to court. And he was even asking me, this was so unusual. Why is this happening? Why can't we get on the docket? Why do I have to show up for court? 18 years, I've never had to show up in court. So we get there, and the bailiff says, oh, you all are on the docket. I guess other people had put in a long time ago. Come to find out, it's an average of 8 weeks to months to get on the docket. But because we were so intentional, and because we didn't know it was going to be 2 and 3 months before we got on the docket, we just kept showing up. Yeah. And the Lord parted the Red Sea. Yeah. So I'm sitting there. The judge, he bounces out, and the state attorney, he calls the docket. So he's asking Wolf, why was he there? And he explained he's trying to withdraw his petition and file in the right jurisdiction. And so the judge says, oh, you're in the right jurisdiction. It's the St. Louis County arrested you. But yeah, it could be filed in the court. He says, but you're good. So then the state attorney started piping in, helping him, saying that, and they always say, We don't represent you. But
Mm.
if I were you, it was that kind of
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
So we're on the docket for in 8 weeks,
Mm.
and we expect God to finish it because we've already discovered there's some discrepancy in the date in the case
Right.
that had him at an age where he should have been a juvenile.
Yeah.
Right.
So it gets even, we start unpacking it and it gets more and more intriguing as we go along.
Yes, ma'am.
But we are claiming a victory
Yeah.
in this pursuit from several fronts.
Yeah.
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 I know why it was important for me to get involved, right? Um, and I believe that timing is everything, and then when God has ordained something, uh, everything that you need will be added.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can go seeking information, but sometimes information just finds you, right? Talk to me about why Wolf's case and the history of it is important to you.
Well, number one, my brother has a 50-year sentence because he and his girlfriend had a disagreement. No one died.
Mm.
So, this whole thing about interpersonal relationships between men and women is near and dear to me. And when I heard the circumstances, it was consensual, but yes, like you'll point out, it was against the law. So, I am a person that is really about right is right and wrong is wrong. And for him to have lived such an amazing life, but to still have this chain locking down a part of his self worth, it's just to me evil. And so when I work with the people that come to our clinics and hear their stories, so we're international now. We had a gentleman reach out to us that lives in South Africa. But when he was 19, he had some kind of larceny stealing charge, and he's 56 now, and he just still tormented. And the story of his journey, similar to his, amazing. I told him, you should write a book.
Mm.
Over there in Dubai, met his wife, has these two beautiful sons, is working on one of these top secret microscope projects, did tours in uh, Afghanistan, but he cannot release what happened when he was 19. And most of the time, people are stealing under 500. So if you go shoplift, you grab a pair of jeans and you get prosecuted for that. And I say, how evil, how evil. And so when we talk about out of that 1900 plus charges, some of the top 21 charges that I see all the time is stealing. You have some burglary. You have like second degree arson is eligible. You have forgery. You have fraud with a credit card or a debit card. Piddling stuff that shuts you down for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So one of our most endearing success stories is this young lady who saw our presentation because we have served more than 500 individuals since March through virtual and on site clinics. So we partnered with UMKC Law School, and they have this amazing pro se brochure, which I would hope you put a link on the YouTube presentation so people can access it.
Definitely.
And she said she had called one attorney. He told her 3,000. Then she called another attorney. She was told 2,500 with a $1,500 down payment. But because she's getting fired off these jobs when her background check comes back from 2020, she doesn't have the money to pay that. So she said, I talked to my father. So she went ahead and filled out the paperwork herself. But these people are so intent on owning their own success, taking ownership of their own success. She literally followed me to a resource fair to let me know she had filed the petition. And I say, oh, I'll be in court with you. So I'm there and she gets expunged. Something had been haunting her for 25 years. So she did a testimony. I had her show her petition because once you're expunged, you get it on the spot. So now another consideration is that there are over 600 criminal background check companies that, even though you've got the expungement, depending on what background check company they use, it may still show up. But there's another service for a couple of $100 that you can send your petition to, and they'll make sure that all those other background check companies get your current status.
That's you know, you can relate to stuff when it's a personal matter. One of my best friends, uh, I went to high school with him. We went to college, same college together. Graduated. He was a economics major, right? And he worked himself up to a vice president
Wow.
position in a top three bank, right? And he was out one night, got pulled over by the police. He wasn't drunk, but he had been drinking, so he failed the breathalyzer,
Mhm.
got a DUI, and because he had a fiduciary position, he had to get recertified when it came back around. And because he had the DUI felony, because it was a felony, in his background, he lost his job.
You remember I told that's
Mm.
one of the institutions
Yeah,
that can actually look to see even if your record is sealed.
yeah. And he lost it, but he got it expunged in Cook County, and he was able to get another job, right? Even though it's still there, but he was able to. It was, I guess, it was sealed enough that he was able to get another job in a financial institution, but he's never gotten back to the level that he was at in banking because he was, uh, he was in his early 30s and he was a VP. And I'm like
Wow.
top three bank.
Wow. And see, so we have only been active since March of this year and have served more than 500 persons. Well, in May 15th, when the tornado hit, it took the roof off of our training center. So we paused for June. So literally, that's like been 5 months we've been doing this. So as we roll it out, we're hearing things about the stealing. If you're on this family safety uh, care registry, you can't go into healthcare because you're dealing with patients, children. And now we also appreciate that depending on the HR, how do you say, requirements, they can still hire you. You see what I'm saying? But it
Yeah.
depends on the culture. Like you're saying, this guy was fortunate. They probably saw it, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so there's a goal to maybe really start marketing to these HR individuals because they have an association to help them understand that we have a tiered justice system and you have these powerfully talented, able employees that you're missing out on building your company.
Yeah. 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 So Wolf, talk to me about um, the work and how it's made you feel having someone uh, like Sandra Keely at your side when you walk into these courtrooms.
She she has a charm about herself. I'm still trying to learn that part. But it helps to understand where she comes from and what she's talking about because it's like another level for me to learn to grasp that and take myself to another level what she's taught me just by watching her and by listening to her, especially when it comes to the courts. I don't know anything really about court system like that because, like I said, at 17, 16 years old, if I'd have known the stuff that I know now, definitely we wouldn't be having this conversation right
Right.
now. So basically, she knows she knows what she's doing. She should have been a lawyer.
Yeah.
She'll make a great lawyer.
Yeah. Speaking of lawyers, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but there's a lot of people getting passionate about your situation, right?
Mm.
People you haven't even met yet,
Right.
And so, as Keeley spoke earlier, a couple minutes ago about new information coming in, right? And so, we literally, in your situation, you have attorneys that have never met you, right? but they've heard about your case now because other people are talking, myself, Miss Keeley, other people, Bobby, other people that are reading your bio and reading your press kit, right? And we'll put those up, for people to be able to see. We'll drop a link and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're catching calls from attorneys from other states that are saying, "Hey,
Wow.
I was thinking about Curtis's case, and so I did a little digging. Did his lawyer really allow him to be charged as an adult when he was a juvenile for this?" He said, "There's probably a motion out there to vacate that." He said, "I don't practice in that state, but you may want to look at this, right?" And there are attorneys out there that are writing motions and saying, "Hey, check this motion out," right? And I know personally, I had a phone conversation with somebody, which I called and told you,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I just spoke to an attorney friend of mine that said your case is definitely ineffective counsel." And so, as we look at this, and as you live with the stigma for nearly 40 years, right?
Right.
You got a whole army of people that are activated out there that you've never even met, right?
Right.
But are just on the side of fair play and justice,
Yes.
that are doing effectively pro bono work for you just because they went on LexisNexis or CaseNet or wherever and pulled down and looked at the details and been like, "This is crazy." Like,
Yes.
the law is the law, but we've said this before in the last podcast. We walked the same school, the same hallways in school, yet I catch a felony in adult court as a juvenile, and for 40 years, almost 40 years, I'm wearing this jacket, catching the looks, catching the people filling in the blanks because they don't know the details.
Right.
That's why we're kind of talking right now,
Mhm.
filling some of the details. But how does that make you feel? I know I said a lot to ask one question.
Mhm.
How does that make you feel when you know that people are lining up to help fight for you?
There's no word for it because it's never happened before. I don't like getting my hopes up because I've been beat down for 40 years about it. But once it happens, I think that's when I can really show my emotions. My mindset sometimes is like a robot, on and off, on and off. But I never let that stop me for all the things I've accomplished, regardless of. I read in the newspaper the other day that a guy raped his mother's girlfriend, then raped the daughter. I mean, it was crazy, and he was out on bail for the same thing, and that per se makes my situation makes me look crazy, because when people don't understand, being a sex offender is not being a predator, or a monster. My situation, it can happen to any of us, but to grow up and to not know the law at 16, 17 years old, and you dating somebody in high school for so long. And like I told you earlier, when you're young, you don't see no color, you just see who you like. And to still keep going and being successful, even though that's over my head all these years, I don't know how to feel about that. I'm just numb to this point. I'm not going to say I'm going through cruise control, but I'm definitely hoping there's a happy ending to this before I die.
Yeah. And in the vein of information, I'm probably gonna say this in some shape or fashion in every episode that I moderate on this podcast. Parents, please know that if you're a teenager, 17, 16, 15, 14, is sexually active, they're committing rape in most states.
Yeah, that's Title IX. Title IX, you can literally take an ink pen out of somebody's pocket and be accused, become a sex offender. And I believe in Missouri, public urination is
Yeah.
considered a sex
Yeah,
offense now.
we talked about that. If you
Mhm.
caught use if you can't make it to the Johnny on the spot, you get caught
Mhm.
peeing against a tree or just to get just to relieve yourself because you can't get to a certain place. You get caught, you're a sex offender.
You're a
Mhm.
sex
And it's crazy to me. And just this is another thing. I'm glad we're talking about certain things like this. So of course, being a sex offender, you got to go through sex offender classes. I've been going to sex offender classes since maybe 6 months, and I already graduated. And don't got to go to sex offender classes no more. But there's people that's been there for 2 or 3 years. Miss Janice Washington graduated me last week, saying that she said, Curtis, I just don't understand why you're here, but you have shown that you're a person of standards. That you said she said you got a little anger in you. She said, why is that? I said, well, anger in me is not even a word for it, because it's feel like I'm reliving my life at 17 right now.
Mhm.
What happened between the ages 17 and 56? What have I done these 40 years? But I'm being punished because of something that happened that I wasn't aware that it was a crime.
Mhm.
So I got done with that. So I graduated from that class, and you know, I don't wish this on nobody,
Mhm.
nobody. But I do wish it on people that deserve it. Because we got some crazy
Yeah,
people out
we
here.
got
We
some
do,
wicked
we really
people out
do.
here. Yes.
And for the people that don't, like I said, that needs to be heard, that got situations like mine, help yourself to get some help. Get somebody to help you.
Mhm.
Just like Miss Keeley here, and other people that's in my corner. This podcast is about knowing your truth, knowing your worth,
Mhm.
and being who you really are, and staying in the moment of knowing your truth, because your heart's gonna tell everything. They say, the truth comes out from the dark, it comes to light. I've been in the light the whole situation, the whole time.
Mhm.
But have I let that hold me down or beat me up? I've been on bended knee, but I've never been on both knees, because my
Mhm.
Lord Jesus Christ is with me no matter what. I look at this whole operation. I'm not going to say I'm a holy roller, but I do believe in my Lord Jesus Christ. Samuel 17, verse 49, when David slew Goliath, basically saying no matter how big the problem is or how powerful the thing is in front of you, if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you're going to win regardless. And that's what I've been dealing with. That's what I've been thinking. That's how I approach things. And has nothing to do with sports, has nothing to do with my other life that I used to live. This has to be me as a man of standards, Curtis Edward Wilson. And that's who I am. Just to my kids, I love you all. To all my fans, my friends, and my family that's been in my corner since day one, A1, man, I'm a bet. I wouldn't. This is just something that I don't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't. But to keep fighting, to keep moving, keep going forward, and sleeping at night, I have my battles. I have my battles, and this is just who I am. I am a man of standards, and I'm a man of God, son of God as well, and I got the best girl right next to me that's gonna help me try to do the right things, getting this out the way.
Well, I'm glad for this update about this national view of what's going on here, because in my journey, I've got receipts, and what I witnessed on September 11th,
Mm.
with the judge and the state attorney saying in 18 years he has never had to come to court for a situation like
Mm.
that, and for them to coalesce around him, and the power,
Mm.
the aura, there was this spirit of support that I know, and I'm going to stand on it based on what you just told me, because now I can find this motion to dismiss it based on the counsel that he didn't receive when he should have received it. And like I said, there's this moment in time where half the country is realizing that there really is a two-tiered system. And with the passing of recreational cannabis, and you automatically got your record expunged if you had a cannabis conviction. They even wrote it where if you're still in jail for it, you can petition to get out.
Yeah.
And so that's the information that we share with people. It's like, I know that was the past. This is now ride the wave while that spirit is on the face of the waters, if you will.
Yeah.
You hear me? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good news you just
Yeah.
shared with me.
Yeah.
So if they want to call me or talk to me, we can make it do what it do.
Always, you're right about
Because
that.
I want to just say the last thing. The courts have been very supportive of expungement. The 22nd Judicial Circuit Judge Joe White, last year we had a town hall called Demystifying the Expungement Process. Last April was National Second Chance Month. So there's really a warming up from when people come pro se, whether or not they've learned from our clinic or coming with attorneys. I've literally seen the defendants sit down and reason together to really make sure that people, if you are eligible, you walk out with your petition of expungement.
Yeah. Well, in closing, I want to thank you, Miss Keeley, for coming out and sharing with us and talking about the importance of, you know, just tidying up what you can tidy up in your background, right? And sharing your experience with Wolf. This is a mission that I think we all are undertaking. Like we've all kind of grabbed a piece of, you know, the cross and picked it up to help carry it. I too am deeply in my faith, and I believe that God is definitely doing something here, not just for Wolf, but for people in his situation.
Yes.
Because precedent is king, right?
Yes, it
you
is.
Set precedent.
Yes.
And other people can follow you through the door, right?
Exactly.
And so,
because it is, as he's saying, there are some people that really need hands-on attention as it relates to being actual sex offenders.
Right.
But in the state of Missouri, there are 88,000 people on the registry. And he will be, like you say, the precedent for those that have suffered a similar fate. There'll be precedent.
there will definitely be
So it's more than about Wolf.
Yeah.
When we start down these paths, we have no idea.
Right. Right.
I know one thing that I know what God will do. God will let you have, God will allow the devil to publicly shame you, beat you down, help instigate a fall, right? So that God can reach down and pick you up, and then that everybody else will get the glory because they know what happened to you, but then they see where God placed you.
Right.
Right.
Where he brought you from.
And so I believe that he opened so many doors for you in your life, right? So that people could see it. So that people could see what it looks like to have integrity and strength through adversity, right?
Right.
And so when you get to the end of the fight, because the end of the fight is coming, when you get to the end of your fight, a lot of people gonna get the glory from that. It's gonna help them.
It sure will.
It's gonna help them.
That's a guarantee.
It's guaranteed. So that's the end of episode 2 of the Wolf of Ball Street podcast. We want y'all to come back for episode 3.
Oh yeah, we'll be the audience.
We gonna be talking with Wolf and his brother, and I'm sure that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, because I saw the push-up challenge.
So thank y'all for coming.
No, thank you. No,
Thank
that
you.
was good.
Thank
Now
you.
that
I got a lot of work up on my plate, and I'ma get it all till the clock stops ticking. Forget the pain of yesterday, and show a star in the higher world. Wake up and go get it, live life with no limits. Every time they put me in a box, I bust it down. Too much time up on the block, so I'ma bust it down. famous. I'm with my brothers like Malcolm and them, and we split the racks in the middle. Big bro, you been ballin', so we was just tallest, you know it ain't no ceilings. These girls in the library, they looking for love, you know it ain't no feelings. Searching for warmth in my heart, but lately it feel like the middle of winter. Every time I get back up, they wanna let me down. My granny asked me why I put that smoke up in the clouds. They always saying, woke, but they be sleeping, know what's round. Just maintain focus, keep my knees up on the ground. I put my soul and my heart in this. The clouds, they left us in darkness, yeah. But I knew what it was when I started it, yeah. So now there ain't no turning back, you know I ain't got time to lack. I gotta get to the racks. And I cannot